Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan here, and I'm coming to you with an update on the next new moon we have on the 6th or 7th of September, depending on where you live. If you live in South Africa or thereabouts, then it's in the early hours of the 7th of September. So we're kind of preparing for that now. And as we know, new moons are always a time for new beginnings, new starts. We get a chance every month to start again. In fact, we get a chance every moment to start again, because there's no such thing as time, really, in the bigger picture. But if we look at it on a monthly cycle, then new moon's a time to begin a new cycle. So we look to see where the new moon is, which means where the sun and the moon are sitting together, and what they're touching in the skies in terms of what they're interacting with. So the heavens are a lot like us. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and there's interconnections. And we are not separate from it or from them, and they're not separate from us. So whatever's happening out there, we feel internally and on our planet as well. That's kind of how I work with astrology, to see how it works. So if you look at the new moon in the next couple of days, it's really a time to begin anew. And when we look at the sign that the new moon is in, it's in Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. It's what we call a mutable earth sign. And Virgo really relates to order, making order out of chaos. The Virgo energy is quite a practical, grounded energy. It can be quite changeable and quite mutable, but there's a lot of practical kind of archetypal energy in Virgo. It's the sign that helps us to separate the wheat from the chaff. So to look at something and say, is this serving me and others, or is it not serving? So whether that's in terms of our own health, which Virgo is very aligned with health and healing. And if you look at health and healing, what is health? What is healing? Well, it's coming back to wholeness. It's identifying that which is blocking or seemingly blocking our health, our wholeness. What's taking us away from wholeness? And that might be thought patterns, it might be habits that aren't serving us, it might be things that we're eating, too much, too little. It might be about not getting enough sleep, not getting enough exercise, and very importantly, what we're feeling and what we're thinking at any one moment, which might be taking us away, pulling us away from our true, full healing power. So that's really Virgo. Virgo is also quite related to finding order, so planning. So times when there's a lot of Virgo energy around, or people with a lot of Virgo in their charts, would generally have a part of them which is good at planning, good at seeing and looking and saying, yes, we need to plan, make sort of plan A, plan B, plan C, so that it all works out according to plan. And there's a certain amount of perfectionism around that as well. How can I do it so that it's perfect? So those things can be useful in small bits, but they're not useful if they define us and if that energy is very big, because perfectionism and criticism, which is another Virgo trait, can actually paralyze us. It can render us kind of unable to move forward because we're scared of moving forward in case it's not the perfect thing to do or the perfect choice. On the other hand, it's not a bad idea to use the energy to kind of see, yeah, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense, that works, that doesn't work. So the Virgo is the sign of the discernment. Does this serve me? Does this serve others? Do I need to do this or do I need to do that? I'm about to eat this. Is it actually serving me? Not so much, because last time I ate it, it didn't make me feel so good. This thought that I have, this recurring thought that I have, this recurring belief that I have, is it serving me or isn't it? And while we've got this energy in Virgo, we get the chance to see that more clearly, for it to be identified, to say, yep, I had this thought and now I'm feeling this certain way. So I can actually choose a different thought. This is the power of the time that we find ourselves in. So the shadow of Virgo would be that nervous kind of anxiety, trying to control the future, trying to control an outcome, trying to get that perfect thing, whatever it is, and then being rendered kind of unable to move forward because it's not perfect or because you don't have clarity. So on the other side of this new moon, we have the planet Neptune, which is opposite the new moon in the sign of Pisces. And that is a very different energy, because the energy of Pisces is to go inside and to intuit, to feel what's right, to feel into the next step, to come back into oneness. So Virgo can be very, this is black, this is white, this is good, this is bad, I should do this, I shouldn't do this. Whereas Neptune and Pisces is very much about, we're all connected to all there is, and there is only right now. Because this is the place of wholeness, this point right now. So the way I see that is this energy can be dual, in the sense that the first thing that it can do when we've got Neptune involved the way it is it can, we can feel a bit uncertain, a little bit confused, a bit sort of bombarded with information, but no clarity. It's almost a little bit like sort of sailing on a sea without a fog light, whereas we're not quite sure where we're going. And that can be really difficult for the mind, because the mind wants to know. And Virgo wants to know, where am I going? Where am I headed? Neptune, on the other hand, says, trust, you'll be guided. And so this is what I feel is very much part of the big picture of what we're going through as a species, as a planet, what Gaia's going through, what we're all going through and what we're all experiencing. This is a time to hone our skills. The Virgo energy is also about honing skills. It's about applying practically, Earth, what we've learned. So if we've learned, or if we're learning how to become more present, for example, then this is a time to practice that, to apply it. So when we see our minds going helter-skeltering off into the future, with concerns about something that we have no control over, where we're trying to sort of control the outcome, it's to be aware of that and to be aware of what that's doing to our physiology, to our mental health, to our relationships, to our sense of well-being. And if we're able to see that, we're able to actually make a different choice, and to really bring ourselves back into the only reality that we have, which is now. So I see this new moon and September as a time, as a grounding time, to continually bring ourselves back. So when things happen that we feel unsure about, where we feel it's out of control, perhaps that is the very thing that is helping us see where our blocks are, where our fears are. So it could happen that things come up at this time, because there's a lot of other stuff going on as well with this new moon. So it could happen that whatever's being presented to us right now can bring up to the surface those things which we're most fearful of, where we have our most blocks. So if you have a block about money, then maybe that's coming up for you. If you have a block about being alone, maybe that's coming up for you. If you have a block or a worry or a fear about the future, what's going to happen, I need to control the future, then that's the very thing that can help to actually bring you back to the present, because it's not serving. And then by bringing us back into the present, we're actually trusting, which is the energy of Neptune in Pisces, trusting that there's a bigger hand at play here, and that we're not separate. We are connected, and that the life force that helps us to breathe and sends our blood around our body and grows our fingernails and our hair and everything else has never gone anywhere, is still here, and we have access to that, particularly when we're present. So it's a time when we don't know what the future holds. Most of us don't know. People want astrologers and psychics and people like that to know, Very few people actually know, because it's almost as if it's been written, in the heavens. It's already written, but it's being written as we move through it. So for me, this is really a testing ground. It's a time to apply what we know. So if you find that meditation helps you, apply that. If you find that pausing in the midst of all the turmoil helps you, apply it. I find that that's the best thing, is to just breathe in the middle of that feeling of angst, or that feeling of insecurity, or that fear of panic or fear, to actually just see it, align with it, realize it, and then bring yourself back. And the other thing we have at this new moon is that the sun and the moon are in a beautiful trine, which is a positive aspect to the planet Uranus. And Uranus is about change. It's also about seeing the bigger picture, being the observer. So if we can observe what's happening for us internally in our bodies, I had that thought and now I've got a knot in my stomach. Or I want to say that, but I'm not saying it, and now I've got a sore throat. Or whatever it is, or I ate that and it doesn't agree with me. Or I feel that I need to do this, but I'm not doing it out of fear. Where does that sit in our body? And Uranus is helping us to see that from a bigger picture, from a bigger perspective, and to say, I'm the one that's seeing it, which means that it's not me. So if I'm seeing the fear, then I'm not the fear. If I'm seeing the anxiety, then I'm not the anxiety. I'm the one who sees it. And therefore, as the one who sees it, I can make different choices. So this is a time where we're called on to make the choices that are true for us, to see what we feel internally, what resonates with us. Whatever other people are saying or suggesting, it's to hold an open mind, not judge it. If other people are making choices different to us, then so be it. We're allowed, and we're possibly supposed to be speaking our truth, but not in a warring way. We don't have to war about it. We don't have to go to war about it, because that's not going to help anything. But it's to be able to hold a space for different beliefs, different takes. Everybody's doing the best they can. They're making the decisions in the best way that they know how. So it's to hold a space for ourselves and others to make the choices that they're making. But for us, it's to be in that knowing place. And that knowing place isn't there. It's not in the future. It's not in the past. As soon as we are trying to make a decision from conditioning in the past, it's going to be a conditioned decision. If we're trying to make a decision because of fear, so if we're moving out of something into something else because of fear, then that decision is going to be laced with fear. So it's to come back all the time and to trust that this is happening, that this consciousness, our consciousness is raising. We are evolving. We are in process. And to be kind to ourselves, to be kind to others, to be compassionate, to keep bringing ourselves back to the heart. Just drop down from the head to the heart. This is a time where we can start to master our mind, so that our mind becomes the servant and not the master. Because when it's a master, we spin out. And when we're listening to a lot of information from outside, we can spin out even further. So if we need to make a decision, it's a whole lot better to make a decision from how does it feel for me? And that's a practiced skill, I feel. And I think that we are all getting this. We're getting an opportunity here to practice that skill. That's the way I see it. There's lots and lots of different ways of seeing new moons and full moons and astrological energy. And I like to do these updates quite close to the time because I feel into the energy. It's different for all of us. This is a time where we really can raise our consciousness. Uranus is about raising our consciousness. It's about waking up. So if you look at the sun and the moon, it's about that conditioned mind. It's the analytical mind, the strategic mind, the black and white mind, the rational mind. And then with this aspect to Neptune, it's saying embrace the unknown, accept the unknown. Can we accept the unknown and be okay with that and allow ourselves to flow, which is Neptune, and open rather than close and try to control. And when we do that, generally, things will unfold in a more graceful way. Grace comes in. And then, as I say, Uranus is saying we've got the opportunity of being the observer here. And when we are the observer, when we're able to stand in that place, that center place, the now, then very often insights come in. Or we meet somebody who then leads us to meet somebody else. But it's an evolving journey. Life is not a destination, it's a journey. So can you just be on the journey? Can we all just be on the journey? Be kind to each other. Travel the journey together. We're all walking each other home on one level or another. So I hope that's helped. That's about it from me. Have a beautiful month. It's a month of healing. It's a month to look at what you're eating, look at what you're drinking, look at your rest, look at your sleep. Ask yourself whether you need the supplements that you're taking, whether they're actually serving you or not. Look at the mind-body-soul connection. It's a very good month to clear out, to do a detox, to clear out space for something new. So that's a good thing you can do on this new moon. Clear some space. New moons are always a time to go within, to become quiet. The sky is dark. The canvas is clear. We can actually connect deeper at a new moon. We can connect with that knowingness. So that's about it from me. Have a beautiful new moon. Lots of love.